Hi, this is Barb Bryan. It is January 21st, 2021, and this is the Night of Insight. And I'm going to play the singing bowl, grab questions out of there, and respond with teachings that come through. So, welcome. You're welcome to share this video with anybody that you would like to. Okay. Sit back, relax, lay down, enjoy it as a meditation. As an empath, groups can be somewhat draining. Too many people, too many feelings, too many thoughts, too much energy can be draining. And so I use various grounding and protectiveness, things to have some protective barriers, boundaries between myself and others. And yet I find sometimes that a wall is there, and then I'm having a hard time actually connecting with people, which is what I truly want to do. And it becomes very difficult. So the person is asking me, as an empath, who sometimes when they are feeling drained or not wanting to be drained by being around a group of people wanting to participate, they've learned to ground in different ways and to put up protections. So the question becomes how to fully participate, how to be open, how to be vulnerable, and yet not drained. Many of the people who tune into this work, many of the people watching or listening to this teaching, many of the people who are here tonight are empaths. We are very sensitive to the world around us and very open, especially to feelings of others. How does each of us have a way, create a way, have a teaching of feeling protected, feeling like we have a good, healthy boundary without feeling walled off from other people or that we are walling them off. So imagine for yourself for a moment. Imagine being an empath. Imagine that people's feelings and energy, words, sounds come in through your antenna. Sometimes it could be like a radio or TV station that you're trying to get just right, but you hear static and it's very unnerving. Or you kind of get the station in, but then you're hearing a bleeding in of other sounds, and you're hearing more than one person talking. Or imagine that you have a hearing loss and you have a hearing aid that you're using. And when it's up too loud, it's shocking the volume that people are feeling at and speaking at, and you want to be able to adjust that. So as you imagine whatever works for you visually or auditorily, that you're wanting to set a boundary, wanting to take care of yourself so you can still enjoy being an empath, enjoy connecting with others, enjoy receiving insights for others, enjoy conversation with others. How to do that? The person has mentioned that they already know some grounding techniques. So use those first, whatever they are. One simple grounding technique is to feel yourself in your body, in your chair, or standing on the ground, in your feet, or the end of your spine. Feel yourself in your body. That helps to ground you. And then notice how you can tune in or tune out to certain people and sounds. Simply notice playing with that. Those will be some of your protections. For instance, in your mind, if you're finding negativity coming your way, it could even be through a Facebook post, or it could be a conversation, or it could be a text, it could be a group. You're walking through a city, or you're walking down the street, whatever that might be. And one way to manage this is to be able to imagine that you are tuning, you are fine tuning in to hear that which is important for you to hear, that you are asking divine love, you are asking your spiritual guides to tune you in the way that you're hearing what it is that you need to hear. And trust that. And if you find yourself overwhelmed and putting up too big of a wall, too much of a wall, and feeling walled in by it, remember that you have control of that. And where there was a brick fortress, it can now be a screen door with a hinge. And the screen can be screening out that which doesn't serve you, or that which injures you, or that which overwhelms you, right? It can just allow in what you need to know, what you need to hear, what you need to be aware of in that moment. And you can practice this all day, every day, in all kinds of ways, even with a radio or a TV or a podcast or whatever it is you might listen to. Another way to do this is to remind ourselves that we can tune out a certain sound. A friend of mine who does Zoom a lot and leads some Zoom groups, she runs a little bit of a fan in the room that she's in. And at first I could hear the fan really loudly, and it sounded to me like radio or background noise. And I asked if anybody had a radio on in the background and to mute themselves. And it was her, and it was a fan. And when she told me that, I tuned it out. I stopped listening to it. It was white noise. It was background noise. It only got my full attention when I didn't know what it was. But as I began to hear it as a hum in the background, that worked out for me. Another way we can do this auditory is I've been in places where I'm speaking in a certain building and there will be a roar outside of noise. And I realize that it's traffic, that maybe it's right near an interstate. And so what I do in my mind is I turn that into a river or an ocean. I turn it into a loud sound that might not even be consistent, but it becomes the roar of the ocean or a waterfall. And that's what I'm choosing to hear in the background so it does not distract me. So you can try some of those different techniques. And if it's a person that's kind of coming at you and saying all this stuff or just too much information, you're willing to hear them, but you don't need all the story or all the drama. In your mind, you can be hearing yourself say, bounces off of me, back to you. You know, as a little kid, we learn this thing to be able to say, you know, sort of sticks and stones may break my bones, and that's not what we want to have happen. But the main message behind it was, but when mean things are said to you, you can think, bounces off of me, that I have a filter, that that screen door has some rubber, has some springiness to it. If it's not mine, it just bounces back. And then to make it very pleasant, we can say, may whatever you're putting out come back to you threefold or tenfold. And people will begin to realize that they want to be saying loving and kind things if it's coming back their way. And even if they start out in a hard place, you're listening because we want to help each other transform. We want to transform those worries to the wonder, right? So we're willing and able to listen to even some of the hard stuff, knowing the conversation is heading toward transformation. So those are all some suggestions, some ways. And physically, if you're in a room full of people and just feeling overwhelmed, but you don't want to go all the way home or leave or shut the door, one of the things you can always do, and it's socially acceptable, is to go to the bathroom. To go to the bathroom, sit down whether you need to or not. Just sit and pause. Maybe even run the water for a moment and have a moment to yourself and decide, what kind of filter do I need to put up? Will I just be heading home now? Or am I ready now to go back inside or back outside to this? So, those are all different ideas to inspire you when you need to take a break, but want to still be part of the conversation. So, as an empath, yes, especially in groups of people or around loudness that may be draining you, you want to ground yourself. Use whatever tools you know and try on some of these new ones. I have been in pain lately, and certainly everybody who's listening to this has been in pain, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. As an empath, someone else's pain, and we just talked about how to separate from that for a bit. But often when we are in physical manifestation of pain, when we're in pain, the question that comes up is, what is the point? What is the point of the pain? What is the pain wanting to teach me? What kind of attention is the pain wanting? What is in the pain? Where in my body is the pain? Louise Hay wrote a book many, many, many years ago, 30, 35 years ago, maybe longer. And it was called Heal Your Body. You can still find excerpts of it. Sometimes you can find an app. You can get the book for less than $5 at plenty of used bookstores. Heal Your Body by Louise L. Hay. What's important about that book is it shows the connection between every body part and the type of pain that you may be in. And the thought pattern, maybe a negative thought pattern that might be part of creating that pain or making room for that pain, or looking at where and why in your body it lands there. And then it gives you an affirmation to say to yourself over and over that helps to release that pain from that body part. I want to give an example here. I want to give the example of sometimes I have physical pain in my hip. So I went to my Louise Hay app and I looked at that, what that was about for me. And then I looked at the affirmation. The affirmation was hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. It was celebrating my hip, celebrating whatever body part is in pain. So if you're having a headache, you give some sweetness and some energy to your head and bring in that sense of not why, but how do I release this pain? I wonder how to release this pain that I'm feeling. I wonder what the message might be about this pain that I'm feeling. Sometimes, as we sit with the pain for a moment and look at it, the pain has an emotional aspect. The pain often has anger, could have grief, could have fear, but it shifts a little bit. Our awareness of what it's about shifts for us. And as our awareness shifts, we learn that we can then shift our thought, and it may help to shift the pain. Sometimes the pain is literally saying, or we're asking somebody else about it, an herbalist, a healthcare worker, a friend of ours, or our own body itself. We're asking a place of wisdom. And we get information like, oh, massage that part that's been hurting. Give it some loving attention. Ask for someone else to be able to massage it if there's someone in your pod during this pandemic, right? Imagine sometimes there's places I can't reach, or it's very late at night and I'm tired, and I imagine that place receiving a massage and how it would feel, what kind of touch I would want, what kind of sound healing I would want. We can imagine some of that healing for ourselves. So the purpose of the pain may be to reveal what's underneath it and know that everything that's revealed comes up to be healed. Not cured necessarily, but to be healed, to shift through that moment. And sometimes it could be a pain in a different place in our body. And what we're needing is a gentle heart massage or a thymus thump or just some care and love to ourselves. And remember that. And in fact, in the previous question, when it asked about, setting limits, right? So we don't feel overwhelmed, we can do that also with massaging our heart self, right? With tapping certain spots on our body. So when we are in physical pain, we can massage or tap that spot or another spot, or allow the tears to flow, or allow ourselves to use our voice. Often, physical pain in our face, in our jaw, or in our hands can be anger, because anger wants to yell, anger wants to throw. And if we have a ball or a frisbee or a paper plate or something that won't break, or if it breaks we can sweep it up, but some way of yelling safely. People yell into pillows, right? Sometimes people will yell in their cars, not as road rage. Sometimes they'll sing really loudly. Find ways to use your voice. Give voice to your pain. Sometimes it helps just to go say, owie, 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 owie. And then it transforms. Sometimes we just need to kiss it if we have an owie, you know, and look at all these different ways of transformation. I have an 18-month-old grandson, and often he'll fall down or do something and hurt himself. One day he was playing guitar too long, got a blister on his finger, right? And he wanted a kiss, and he still believes that kisses from a grandma or a mom or a daddy can make things better. Those are all different ways to restore the pain that we're experiencing. And there are many ways to discover what's under the pain and trust it's being revealed to be healed. So that is an answer to the question of what is the point of pain? Again, look for the point of it. Sometimes it's a very sharp point. Sometimes it's an ache. Sometimes we have it every day and we stop paying attention to it and it wants our attention and healing. Other times it directly gets our attention and it needs some real focused attention. And that's the point that it's making, that we need some care in that area. Okay. How can I move through the current situation as easily, as easy, with as much ease as possible? Well, a very operative word here is current. The current situation has a current, right? It has a flow. And so sometimes it's allowing ourselves to be part of the flow, to get in touch with where is the flow of our ideas, of our emotions, of our energy, of that which is coming along besides us. What is the flow and how to be in that flow? Then we know we're in the current situation. And it's often easier if we're not going against the tide or going against the flow, going against the current in that moment. So one is flowing with the current. The other use of the word current, as it's being used here, means in the present moment, right here and right now in this moment. How can I move through my current situation or problem or dilemma or choice or transformation or shift that's happening? How can I move through it with ease and grace and the mobility, the flexibility that I might want, that I would need to get through this in the most easeful way possible? So we look at the word current, meaning present moment. The reminder is that we are always, always, always in the present moment. There is no other moment, right? In this present moment, I adjusted my glasses. That moment went by and I adjusted them again in the next moment. So there's always a following moment and there's a flow of all these moments together, but they are all part of the current, the present moment. And as we realize this, it gives us a different sense of being in the flow of the current moment, because it will shift and change and guide us as we let go. Let go of the side of the stream that we're hanging on to. Let go of the rock. Let go of the tanglement, whatever's entangling us. Let go of whatever's keeping us stuck. And as we let go and trust the flow of the current situation, we will be exactly where we need to be for what's to happen in the next moment, to unfold with us. So if we are planning a move, or we're trying to make a big decision about a relationship or a job or to have a child, or we have just let go of someone that we love through death, or maybe they're in the hospital and we can't see them, or maybe we've had to go through a transformation of the definition of a relationship. All of these things, any of these things may be happening to us, around us, for us currently. Well, how do we step into the current, right? And you know that when you first step in to the current, if it's not a very strong current, it just flows around our foot, flows around our feet. We can look downstream a little bit and see where it's going. We can even put a little stick in there and see where that goes. And eventually it goes out of sight, or it goes around a corner or a curve that we can't see and that we can't know about. So the way to be in the current is then to step in to it even deeper. How do we step into the depth? Sometimes, and this is okay, sometimes we need a floating device, right? We need those floating wings, or we need a life jacket, or we need an inner tube, or we need to remember that we know how to swim. And we need to remember we know how to float. We need to remember that we can keep our head above water. So sometimes it's remembering, sometimes it's what we take along with us, sometimes it's just diving in the deep end, just diving in and trusting and knowing. Every situation will bring us to that question, and each situation will offer us a different entry point, or a way to enter the current, a way to really be present, that we are making a choice to step into that current, to surround us with whatever we need, right? To make it an easier step. Sometimes we're the kind of person that goes, I'm just running and jumping off the cliff. I know I'm going to hit the water down below. And it might even be a big of a shock when it hits, but it's part of what I love. It's part of how I know I'm part of change. And other people want all their floaties around them, and they're going to step in slowly, slowly, until they know they're floating. Any way you do it, no matter how much risk you take, it's based on your abilities and the risks that you've taken before, and what you need to feel safe and secure in this moment, right here and right now, as you go in to the next moment. So that, my friend, is how you move through the current as easily as possible. And the last question is always, is the singing bowl empty? No, it looks empty, but is it empty? It's full. It's full of all this space. It's full of potential. It's full of possibilities. It's full of healing. It's full of secrets. It's full of sound. It's full of invitation. It's full of invitation to shift and to change and to grow. So even when it is sitting on a shelf, nestled in what it nestles in, it is open and never empty. And now I will play the singing bowl another time. And after that, then I will turn off the recording and invite the people that are in the room, in the Zoom, to come back in. So first, just another meditative bowl playing.